So here I want to show you my process of answering difficult questions or problem solving in action. And I'm using a question from an assignment because this is an easy one to show in terms of it's written, there's research, but you could apply this to anything in your life. So what we need to do is answer this question. Use the sliding muscle filament theory to explain the molecular mechanisms behind muscle contraction in these types of muscles. You may use diagrams to help you if you wish. So, I don't know a few things. So the first thing you would do is put down known, all right? So, I don't know what the sliding muscle filament theory is. I don't know that. Molecular mechanisms, don't know that. Muscle contraction, in other words, how the muscle squeezes. In these types of muscles, I must go back and look and see which muscles we're talking about, and you can use diagrams. So known is a bit of an empty thing here. I understand what contraction means. All right. So they want to know how this molecular mechanism works using sliding muscle filament theory. So unknown is sliding muscle filament theory. So that's a question. And what do I need to know about the question? If I've got to explain something, I need to know what it is, I need to how it works, and possibly why it works. So, they also want to know the molecular mechanisms. Molecular mechanisms. Now, not in general, but here. So, then the third thing I said was in these types of muscles. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the original question. And they're talking about here the structure of striated muscles to ones that move less frequently. So smooth and striated, that I know. Good. So they want to know sliding muscle filament theory for smooth and striated. All right. So where would we go and find this? Now we could go to a very technical book, or we could go to something more general and build up the layers of knowledge we need. We don't always need everything. And sometimes, depending on how much we know, if we go to the too technical stuff, it just confuses us more. So what I like to do is I go to Wikipedia. So I'm going to go to Wiki. There we go. Oh, and look, my little question comes with me. And on Wikipedia, I'm going to search for sliding muscle filament theory. Now, hopefully, it's going to have something. Let's start as specifically as we can to save ourselves nothing. Oh, there it is. Oh, there we go. So, there are a few of them. So, muscle contraction and sliding filament theory. Muscle contraction is fabulous. It's probably going to talk about how. Sliding filament theory is going to give us what. Now, we could open these. They're both done in April 2022, so they're very modern, which is great. The sliding filament theory explains a mechanism of muscle contraction based on muscle proteins that slide past each other to generate movement. Now, I like the proteins because didn't it say something about that earlier? Oh, molecular mechanism. So the molecule is a protein. Fabulous. So, muscle contraction. A muscle is stimulated to contract according to the sliding filament theory. Fabulous. So maybe we'll go to, we've got the word protein there, but let's go to the muscle contraction because it refers to this. So then you would read this, keeping our question in mind, which is here, to explain the molecular mechanisms behind muscle contraction. So what I would do is I would actually break it down and say, what is it? So there's the definition of muscle contraction. And Let's see, are they going to highlight for us? Sliding, there we go, sliding filament theory. They've highlighted it very kindly. So, innovate, I think, gives energy, but worth looking up. Once innovated, the protein filaments within each skeletal muscle fiber slide past each other to produce a contraction, which is explained by the sliding filament theory. Okay, so I think what they're saying is, you've got fibers. If they slide past each other, this area shortens because they're pulling it tight, is what I think it's saying. But read it through. So what? It's given us that one. How? It's given us that. And it's telling why it's to contract. So I'm not going to read it all for you, but there you can see very clearly. Molecular mechanism, have we answered that clearly? I remembered we needed smooth and skeletal muscles. So there they're mentioning each. All right. Okay. I've lost sight of what I was doing. Molecular mechanism. This is why it's always nice to write it down. Molecular mechanism. I don't think we've had it. So I'm going to go back to where we were. So the molecular mechanisms were the proteins, I thought. So let's go to the sliding filament theory. Yeah, here it's explaining roughly what I thought it said. Two slide past each other while they remain at a similar length, but sliding past each other they're going to contract. Only in 1954 they discovered this. So now you've got to go through this and find the molecular mechanisms. Now, probably the myosin and the actin, are they molecules? Because if it's a molecular theory or molecular mechanism, then I'm assuming that these two are the actual molecules. Let's open this up. So reading through this, I would look up whether myosin and actin are molecules, but there's also this actin-myosin linkages which depend on ATP hydrolysis. And then at the bottom, they mention a few things. Oops, here. So this is a lovely picture. Given that there's a nucleus, it makes you wonder if there is a molecule. So you still need to find out whether the protein is considered a molecule. And I actually can't remember whether it does, to be honest. So what we've done here is we have looked up the sliding muscle filament theory. We've looked at the molecular mechanism. I think it's all been answered. You could take some of that stuff and put it in here with a few pictures, and that would explain how it works. Then we would go to the next one. The next question is, other than skeletal muscles, there are 2 types of muscles in your body. Now again, we didn't know what these were. Smart select. And we're going to go to, if I can work it out, oh, we closed it. I'm not quite sure how that works. I managed it earlier, so let's do it again. Smart select. There we are. Samsung Notes. Add to new note. There we go. So, other than skeletal muscles, there are 2 types of muscles in your body, outlining these muscle types, their structure and their functions. Now, we've got skeletal, and then which are the striated, but then we've got smooth, so I don't know why the pen's so big, and then there's an unknown one. And I can't remember from my theory, so we will go back to our Wikipedia. And that's not helping us. Alright, so for some reason, this is not helping us. Just now I could do it, but now I can't. Now it's just writing all over the screen. So you would go to Wikipedia, and I would ask for types of muscles, looking for 3. So we're looking for smooth, striated, and another one. Something's telling me that they either could be really small muscles that move things we're not aware of, that needed muscles, or it's a form of the smooth muscles. And you're looking for type, structure, and function. So you could actually do it a table, type, structure, and function. And do a little table, whatever number 3 is. So number 2 and number 3 you could put in here. 2 is smooth, 3 we don't know, and you would write them down here in a table format, and you would be done. Okay, so that's how I would tackle these. Using Wikipedia. If Wikipedia is not enough, you're going to have to go further. Hope that helps.